This anime is bad. So bad even for an isekai. Don't get me wrong though, I kinda like isekai, but this one is just not it. No convincing storyline, edgy characters with baseless standards, and too much unnecessary stuff happening. You might say, well, Mr. Pandox, that's almost every isekai anime out there. Shut up, we know that. It's just that this one is intolerable. Well, why am I blabbering about this anime? It's because I was totally dumbstruck when I found that this bad anime's writer is the same co-creator of My Home Hero, one of the best thriller manga out there. Oh wait, you don't know My Home Hero? What are you? A frog in a well, living under a rock on Mars? Are you perhaps me? Because damn boy, how the hell did I miss something so tasty, so delicious to consume in large quantities. I couldn't believe it when I was reading this manga that I hadn't known about it for years since it first was aired. And if you're just like me, out of the loop because you've been consuming junk manga and anime for a while, then My Home Hero is the perfect remedy for your burned brain cells and lifeless eyes that need a flicker to light up once again. But if you already know about this manga, then you're free to brag about it in the comments. Just be sure to not spoil anybody. In September 2017, Kodansha released the first volume of My Home Hero, a seinen manga that is focused on crime, suspense, and psychological and intellectual conflicts, written by Naoki Yamakawa and illustrated by Masashi Asaki. Now, with its climax approaching as the third and final part of the story has already started months ago, an anime adaptation has been confirmed to be released in the spring season 2023. So let's open the box and talk about it. Toso Tetsu is a 47-year-old salaryman who's never hit anyone in his life, but he's willing to do anything for his almost grown-up daughter, Reika. He is a caring parent who understands his child even though she's full of Tsuntsun energy, as she would be annoyed that he makes time to come visit her every once in a while. But because of the dairy part, she would make a song for him as a birthday present and then use it for a ringtone when he calls her. Maybe, and just maybe because of all of that, he can adore, treasure, and feel the need to protect her, on top of simply being her father. He is what you could describe by social standards as a good man, a doting father, and a loyal husband. Tetsu has a lot of experience in reading and writing mystery novels, and perhaps as a result he would sometimes play detective when his curiosity is triggered. He would, for instance, notice the subtle changes in his daughter's behavior and deduce that she indeed is hiding something from him, which he would do something about if he believes it may harm her. Tetsu is the kinda guy who would let himself get bullied by some guys half his age and just go to a capsule room to hide and deal with his tears and emotional damage. He is a pushover. Yet, the man's attitude changes completely when the same thing or even a minuscule part of it could happen to his precious daughter. The pushover, who's never broken the law or dared to even physically defend himself, becomes a predator for his daughter's sake. He would start analyzing his surroundings to find anything to use as a weapon, think of a plan, and execute it rapidly as if he were a trained special agent. Evidently, Tetsuo saves his daughter from her boyfriend, who is only with her because of the Yakuza he belongs to, needs intel on her grandparents, who are some big shots and Tetsuo's in-laws. But to be clear, the word save here is probably quite simple to describe what he does, as it gives the impression that he finds some sort of peaceful solution. Well, nope. He indeed protects her, but that comes at the cost of him breaking bad. So bad that when the thought of having his daughter dead crosses his mind in a very dark place, which is his daughter's closet by the way, he goes out and smashes the dude's skull. Yep, he was simply hiding there like the beta he is, before finally some sparkles of alpha DNA rejuvenated in him. Then suddenly he was like, yeah, I wanna smash my daughter's boyfriend. That sounded kinda weird, but you know what's even weirder? It's the thought that occurs to me whenever I look at this cover, that this is a BL manga. I'm sure I'm not the only one here, right? I'm not wrong, right? Please tell me I'm not the only one. Well, anyway, sooner than later we start digging deeper into Tetsuo's personality as the story goes on. We discover how his experience writing novels that average only 100 views each has prepared him to deal with and cover up crimes, and even plan some of them. This reminds me of Breaking Bad, the show. While Walter White finds how he is proficient in cooking meth, Tetsuo discovers how talented he is in cooking bodies. We get to see the irony in how his mystery novels fail, yet he's more than capable of leading a life of secrecy. It's like how a detective or serial killer is not necessarily set up to succeed as a crime fiction writer. Tetsuo may not be skilled as a crime fiction writer, but he is capable of handling real-world crimes effectively. Tetsuo is a normal dude who finds himself in the world of crime. He learns how violence and keen insight are the only things that could save him and his family and maintain their peace and happiness. And he surely proceeds with his plans to destroy whoever and wherever endangers those things. Well, maybe later we can hope to see him go for "say my name" and get a cool nickname. As a matter of fact, he is called Chainsaw Man because of a particular incident, where he, uses a chainsaw to cut meat. Now, you smart ones are sure to guess what type of meat, but for those with dirty minds like me, it's totally not sausages. Well, not exclusively at least. Tetsuo as a main character is smart, but the enemies from the Yakuza, police, and even a crazy cult are playing a decent game as counter-attackers. If he plays a card, they pull out the Uno reverse card before he goes for the ultimate "No You" card. Even when he is in the den of his enemies, surrounded from every angle, he still makes the best use of his opportunities. He might get sweaty and mess of all of it, but that just makes it more genuine and entertaining. There are things that would cause you to admire each chapter as the plot thickens and the chapters get even better, like the tension originating from confrontations where Tetsuo constantly needs to think steps ahead, even if that includes his daughter finding him taking a shit in the backyard. I guess with that you know how tight of a spot Tetsuo is in, literally. The poor dude couldn't even worry properly about how his daughter's eyes were emitting killing intent when she saw her pitiful father reversing back to his wild nature. In this manga, enemies turn to allies if the circumstances allow it, and interesting new characters are introduced occasionally, making the plot even more muddy, especially after part 2 starts, where various kinds of smart psychopaths start to pop up from everywhere to shape complex scenarios, and each one of them is motivated by something that we discover later in the manga. It's amazing to see a story that begins with a father worrying about his daughter evolve into an anxiety-arousing tale filled with ups and downs, unpredictable outcomes, and light and heavy feelings. This story focuses on family bonds and holding accountabilities while facing ethical codes. I'm even trying here to avoid spoilers as much as possible so that you may experience everything firsthand and truly appreciate it. But hold on, smart ones. I know you're smart enough to click that subscribe button since you've made it so far. But if this isn't enough for you, there's more to say and show. Most of us can agree that not so many writers put themselves in their characters' place, or even think about the possibilities that lead those characters to be who they are or do what they do. A lot of writers just imitate other stories, and it's most of the time baseless and just riding a bigger wave. And the vast majority of us already know or will come to know the real thing at some point of that ride. Now, I'm not saying don't imitate at all, but there is as long as you don't rip off the whole idea, crossing the line that separates inspiration from plagiarism. One reason to be noted that contributes to this phenomenon is, as Hayao Miyazaki once said, almost all Japanese animation is produced with hardly any basis taken from observing real people, you know. If they don't observe the real world, what do you think they are going to do, huh? Well, in My Home Hero, things are quite bracing in a sense. For instance, when Tetsuo finally deals with a crime he had to commit, he's like, Have I ever considered what the killers thought of when they killed in the stories I've written? From that rhetorical question alone, we can already tell why he failed as a writer. On the other hand, I, as a reader, was like at that moment, I like how the authors are talking to me through Tetsuo. I certainly felt that these authors are telling me they observe real people closely and write their stories based on them. They consider what and why Tetsuo would think of in this or that situation. They know how Tetsuo would react, act, and reflect. That, right there, is a sign of good character building and development. Throughout the story, we see how Tetsuo never points his fingers at his in-laws who are the reason his daughter was targeted in the first place. Well, at least when they are out of the picture and not messing with his family. It might be because he cut ties with them decades ago, but it still shows you what kind of a person Tetsuo is. He would try to be responsible and not blame others for whatever comes his way. An honest man, but also an observant and sharp individual who continues to grow as a person when his lifestyle changes completely after 47 years of living a somewhat normal life. While Tetsuo is a multifaceted character, the other side of the coin, his soulmate, his partner in life and death, his wife, Kasen. She is something else, I mean, really. Just read what she's saying here, with what in the hell of a chill face. Imagine witnessing your husband commit a hideous crime, but after knowing he did it for your daughter, you help him. But not just that, being chill and collected during all the cover-up trials, and even supporting your man who's getting crushed by the weight of the huge sin, and the responsibility that stems from dragging his family to such a mess. If that doesn't make you the most loyal wife out there, I don't know what actually does. Tetsuo could only thank her for marrying him and staying by his side for 20 years. That being said, what I appreciated most about her was in fact that she was acting chill and collected. It's amazing how the authors make her capable of deceiving even the readers. At a point you even dare to question her sanity or past life. However, subtle indications, such as when shaken lines are drawn around her hands in a scene, you can see and tell that she is trembling and scared to shake a leaf, but still puts herself together for her partner or for her family. I honestly can't remember now how many times she comes with a clutch and saves Tetsuo. She understands Tetsuo very well and can aid him without a word from him. Hell, she even becomes a ninja or spy for their family. It's magical how their relationship is so smooth, even in their darkest moments. Well, that resulted from their somewhat stable married life for 20 years, so it wouldn't be surprising if they developed telepathic powers by that point to communicate honestly. I haven't personally experienced this type of thing, but it seems like a thing, you know? Let's hope that someday we can genuinely find someone that we can have such an experience. And moving from the pipe dream, Reika. She's the one who will be responsible for making you snap back to reality and reminding you that this is a manga. Having parents that smart would usually imply that she, the daughter, would be just as intelligent. Just like how Conan's genius mind is apparent in his parents. However, and sadly, Reika is naive. She is stupid. She is reckless. She doesn't know anything. She is 18 years old. While reading the manga, you might think of how such parents can have such a child. But if you give enough care and attention to details, heck, just be a reader with a simple human brain, please. And you will notice that the parents aren't smart because they are inherently geniuses or something. They are quick-witted because of their life experiences. Something that Reika and most of teenagers lack. There, you will probably stop blaming the daughter for being a normal 18-year-old girl who's yet to discover even what type of a man she really likes, and once more become drawn to the manga. Come on, let's be real here, just look around you and see how many outstanding and marvelous 18-year-olds you can find. Yeah, not that many. Probably none if you lower your ego a little bit, you know? That was in defense of the manga. But is she annoying? Hell yeah, obviously. That is undeniable. The authors keep doing more to impress us. For instance, when they want to emphasize how much this guy who is an antagonist in the story hates his wife who left him and their only son, whom the father now cherishes the most, the authors simply show us the father pondering while holding a family picture in which the mother's face is scribbled over. I just could relate so much to this because I've seen it happen in my life, but let's not get down that rabbit hole, okay? Nevertheless, these little things which can be significant in one way or another are usually disregarded and passed over when a story imitates other stories. Also, the authors really know how to portray two middle-aged nerds fighting like they are cats standing on 2 feet trying to slap each other. What makes it even more entertaining is the fact that it's a life or death fight. Another interesting character is Kyoichi. He is an antagonist who goes at it like a cat and a mouse with Tetsuo. Even when everyone clears Tetsuo and forgets about him, Kyoichi instead notices the missing parts of the puzzle and focuses more on Tetsuo. Heck, he just seems to be obsessed with him sometimes. This guy, whom I couldn't care less about in the beginning of the story, became so important and relevant to me as a reader that I even cheered for him when he went against Tetsuo at times. I was really amazed at how the authors built a character over the course of multiple chapters and made me struggle to choose which side to favor, the cat or the mouse. It's like how sometimes you want to cheer for Tom even though he was only there to fall for Jerry's tricks, you know? Kyoichi though was just as smart against the shrewd Tetsuo, unlike how Jerry's quick wit never let Tom get a hit. With characters like these and many more I didn't mention to avoid making the video any longer, and a story that is compelling, I was grateful to the authors, just like I once did after watching Breaking Bad, where Walter's descent into the criminal underworld while facing difficult moral choices could be seen as awfully relatable, in the sense that any one of us could find themselves in similar circumstances. My home hero obviously falls short compared to Breaking Bad, but not by much, and it at least succeeds in achieving what the authors probably aimed for, which is making the manga relatable and engaging to the reader, to the point where you start to ponder, analyze, and look for solutions with the smallest hints scattered throughout the panels, just like you would do with many scenes in Breaking Bad. Of course, there are some downsides to it. For example, how Tetsuo conveniently knows about things because of his experience as a crime fiction writer, but fortunately it is done moderately and with sensibility. In all honesty, I was totally refreshed from all those stories where there must be a label for each character to even remember them. This one is a tsundere, or that one is a yandere, you know, when there are sometimes you could even know what they are going to say for the next 30 seconds. While we can still label characters this way in stories and maybe fantasize about them, that label itself should not be the only thing that can define or remind us of those characters. After reading a decent number of chapters from my home hero, I found out that I did not remember this one as the tsundere or that one as the yandere. I simply remembered them as Tetsuo, Kasen, Kyoichi, etc. It's mainly because they were so much more than that. Well, being a seinen manga to begin with is the reason, but even so, they felt like real people from real life. And not every seinen manga is able to do this. I found myself attached to the characters after all the hurdles and adventures I've had with them, and that is a huge W. This manga shows you friends too, how they can be nice, or how they can sell your secrets to strangers for cheap money. It shows you the Yakuza, the real ones I mean, that you should never mess with as a normal citizen. It shows you how and why these characters have so much resolve to carry out their missions and turn their plans into reality. It presents a real world with real people, all for you to indulge in and not regret spending your time after reading all the chapters and realizing it is only a manga. Crime manga and anime don't necessarily need great art. What makes crime fiction great is the plot, suspense, the guessing games, and the characters who shape and embody those things. Yet it never hurts to be visually pleased while enjoying a story. For instance, some panels like these, with Tetsuo hiding and a police officer simply walking by, doing checkups, could be so stressing just because of the way they were drawn. The decision to make the peephole a focus here emphasizes how tight of a spot Tetsuo was in, mentally and physically. He was safe, but it showed how insecure he was feeling. Mind you, this was chapter 9, and the art goes a long way on this journey. Stuff like this is all throughout the manga, thanks to the expressive and realistic art style, even though without so many details. You would feel it when a character is scared, because you will also be on your nerves. When a character is sad, you would sympathize with them because you can relate to them. The artwork makes it so that you aren't disengaged with the building up because it is great at manifesting emotions and ideas. What makes it even better is how the artist draws everything, including the characters, like he's taken the real world as a model. And that's how it should be, at least in this kind of story. I have talked enough about this manga, I guess, so if you didn't know about it, you should know very well what you've been missing out on. I can't recommend it enough, but I've done what I can. I'm extremely excited for the upcoming anime adaptation, which is highly anticipated not by only me, but surely by many other fans as well. I personally am not looking forward to the animation itself, which has some cool people working on it and all, or even the story honestly, which I already know. But rather, I just want to see a subtle change in the mainstream, hoping for a different mood maybe, to encompass the anime community, because 2023 is already going to be good enough with all the shows we're waiting for. However, we don't often get an anime based on a thriller manga that keeps us on an edge in every chapter, like we're having constant cliffhangers that hold our attention and refuse to let go till our satisfaction eventually overwhelms us. And that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like. I will be uploading similar videos regularly, so consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so you don't miss out. Thank you for watching, and see you again when opening another box.